Our soulful topic today is embracing authenticity, living your core values every day with the magnificent Blair Lewis. In this uplifting episode of Ask the Oracle, we're joined by the inspiring Blair Lewis. Blair is a renowned holistic coach, speaker, educator, and visionary business owner. She shares her incredible journey from a successful yet unfulfilling career to a life of serenity and empowerment through aligning her core values with her daily work. Blair offers profound insights on optimising life for greater fulfilment and living authentically. Tune in to discover how you too can embrace your true self and live a life aligned with your core values. I've known Blair forever and I love and adore her. So I'm really excited to jump right in. Hi, Blair. How you going, my love?
Hey, Susie, I'm very good, thank you. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to be here on your podcast.
I'm so excited to have you here. It's just so beautiful that I know you so well, and witnessing your journey over the years has just been such an honour and a blessing. So, yay.
Thank you, Susie. And I've loved, I met you how many years ago? A long time ago.
Long time ago. I love all these beautiful connections and deep relationships that we can make. You know, it's so lovely. It really enriches life, I think. So
Absolutely. And it's a huge part of fulfillment, those relationships, isn't it?
that's it. So, my love, I've got some really juicy questions for you. And our podcast questions today. Number one, can you share a bit about your journey from a national fitness presenter
Yes.
to a holistic coach and very successful business owner?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was younger, as we all are, when I was younger, I wanted to be a hairdresser, but I loved sport when I was at school. And I actually started a hairdressing apprenticeship first, but because I love sport, I was good at sport. I actually started teaching gym classes when I was 16 years old. And yeah, I did my training when I was 15, but you have to be 16 to get insurance. So I had to wait till I was 16 to teach.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, and I worked in, when I say in the fitness industry, as a gym instructor. And over time, I sort of started to really excel in that, and I left hairdressing and focused fully on the fitness industry. And in that time, I was a group fitness manager at one of the big gym chains, and I was a national fitness presenter for you might have heard of a company called Les Mills. Presenter for Body Attack and Body Combat. That meant that you sort of presented to instructors, new material and things like that. So like a bit of an education style, which I love. What I found though is like I was doing things that I enjoyed, but doing them in a way that it didn't feel true to me. And that sort of kept happening over a period of time. I joined an amazing network marketing company, and I excelled a lot in there as well. But the same sort of thing happened is, I'm an overachiever, right? So getting to that achieving level, I know we want to sort of see what other successful people do and do the same. But some of the things didn't sit really well with me. And it actually started to give me anxiety. I realized this is not what I value. I value this.
Yes.
If I can still create that success in a way that's true to my values, that's what I'm going to do. So like at one point I ended up with severe anxiety. I had toxic relationships. I had all these things happening, and that wasn't because I deserved them. That's because I wasn't sitting within my core truth. Not what I was doing, but how I was doing it, if that makes sense. So,
makes so much sense.
Yeah. So from there, when I sort of had that discovery and that bit of that turning point in my life, I decided at that point, and it takes time, and sometimes I still have to go, hang on, does that feel true? But I decided that I wasn't going to do anything that didn't sit right with me.
You decided that so early on. It took me a lot longer.
Mm.
I remember, when I was in real estate for over 10 years very successfully, and same sort of thing, like I'm a high achiever as well. So I loved climbing that, company ladder and getting all the sales accolades and, getting the investment portfolio together and all of that. But something in my core just didn't feel quite right. So I totally get it. But, everything we've done up until this point has underpinned what we're doing anyway. So it's all part of that kind of building the foundations, building, sometimes learning what you don't want so that you can recognize what you do want as well.
Absolutely. And I
Yeah,
think if I hadn't have actually gone through some of that stuff, I wouldn't have learnt as much about myself as I do have now, have
yeah,
now. And it's interesting because when I started to really sit true my values and went, no, I'm going to do a way that feels right to me, that aligns with who I am. And I had to kind of figure out who I was along the way.
yes,
I actually became more successful, if you'd like to call it. And I'm not saying, like not always success is, related to business, obviously our own businesses, business success and things like that. That happened, yes, but more fulfilling relationships around me and, more wholesome friends,
exactly.
all of those wonderful things. Yeah.
Exactly. I totally relate to that because back when I was doing high level sales, and I did it in a few different arenas, I'd be working like crazy 100-hour weeks and, 7 days a week and trying to be that, that kind of wonder woman and that kind of mother at the same time. But of course, your relationships start to suffer,
Mhm.
your own well-being starts to suffer. And, yeah, and you're not really living your core truth, like your priorities, not really. You're living in one part of your priority, if that makes sense, not even really. So, yeah, I totally get that. Mm,
Yeah, and I think as a woman, I mean,
yeah,
not everyone, but as a mother and a wife and a business owner, and
yes,
and like you were successful in real estate, I've successfully, like I said, I'm an overachiever. So in the network marketing, I grew to the top of the company. I won global awards, all
yes,
these kinds of things. Um, I forgot my train of thought, but
yeah,
I thought what I was about to say was you forget actually who you are sometimes because you become so and so's mum and so and so's wife, and you a title like for you it might
yes,
have been this real estate agent, and for me it
hmm,
was a national vice president or a national business president. Like so
yes,
kind of sometimes you get hung up on the title, but you forget. I'm saying you, but really I forgot, and I know it's common. Who I was at my core, and when I figured
yes.
that out and knew what my values were, everything changed. Everything.
Oh, absolutely. And, I love the way you explained that abundance isn't just, and fulfillment and happiness isn't just success and accolades and money. All of that's fun. I guess it makes, life comfortable and interesting. But at the same time, yeah, the love in your life, are you living true to you? All of that sort of stuff.
Absolutely.
So, my next question to you is why do you believe it's important to align your core values with your daily work? I think you've sort of touched on that, but the reason I say that is because I know what you do and
Yeah.
you absolutely walk your talk, and everything that is kind of true to you and in alignment with you, I can see that filtered down to your businesses, to your salons, your staff, your coaching clients, whatever it might be. I can see all of that kind of like, that beautiful ripple effect of it all aligning.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think what's important really is for us to understand that success and fulfillment are two very, very, very different things. So,
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah.
success, people might align that with the university degree, the house, the car, the husband, the wife, the children, whatever it may be, the tick the box, I perhaps, I ran the 1 minute, the whatever 1 minute in the 400 meters. I don't know. I'm just making this up, but
Yeah, I know what you mean.
some people are just, that's what we can. For some people, it looks like successful, and even for some people, this, success can look like a loving, beautiful family, which is all successful too. What's the difference between fulfillment? Fulfillment is the way that we live our life at our core values and give to the world. So it's the relationships that we build.
Oh, my goosebumps.
So
The
when, and,
giving.
yeah, and the giving. So it's like,
Yeah.
if we're not doing something for a purpose and to serve the greater good and to serve others, then we're lacking that part of fulfillment. And that's kind of where we get stuck. And I think for me, it's like, okay, for me, it's people and planet, profits later, people and planet first. all within my
Yes.
values of, aligning with nature, making sure that everything that I do aligns with my philosophy of the holistic approach when it comes to, caring for the mind, caring for the body, caring for the spirit, helping people to bring out the best in them, no matter what situation. Like yesterday, and it happens a lot, I had a client in the salon say, I came here because I come here for the hair, and I come here for the coaching, and I come here because I feel good when I leave, and
I totally relate to that.
come here for the empowered feeling that I leave, like those kind of things. And for me,
Yeah.
even though I do things that may to people seem very different, like obviously holistic coaching is one thing. I own, some hair salons. I do fitness leader, network marketing. I approach them all with the same values and with the same outlook of what's fulfilling, and it's that relationship building and that giving factor. And so I think that's where sometimes we can start, we could be successful, but we could feel a little bit lost within ourselves.
Yes.
But what is my purpose? What is my greater, what is my greater purpose? And it doesn't have to be something like this big, thing that you'd put on a poster. My purpose is, it
Yes.
can
Because
be
it can change too. As we
100%.
change,
Yeah,
it can be ever evolving as well.
absolutely.
Often those really core kind of deeply rooted priorities and values don't change.
That's right.
But, some of those kind of, the next layer of priorities can change. And I just have to tell the listeners too that I drive 2 hours from the New South Wales South Coast back to my hometown in Canberra to have my hair done. Why? Because it's just such a beautiful experience. It's so holistic. I just know that Blair's looking after the planet. I know that sounds dramatic, but it's true. And everything's eco-friendly and completely natural. And my hair's never been healthier. But, just the simple things like getting a head massage and getting your hands, a hand massage, and being around like-minded, love-hearted people that actually seriously care for the planet. That's worth a 2-hour drive.
Oh, thanks, Susie. And
It's
you know what?
true.
And it's about the people. So it's like that for me, it's people and planet first. So, like giving, because if we don't have the planet, firstly, it's not going to be great for our, people, our children, our children's children, and all those things. But if we or had more feminine energy in the world and brought out the best in people and had that real nurturing, if we could bring out that nurturing, genuine connection, the world would be an entirely different place. Like it truly would. And so the fulfillment for me and comes from the way that I can serve others, because when at the end of the day, the success will tick things I can't take with me when I die, but
Yeah.
I can leave a legacy, or I can leave a mark on some people and make a difference. And I think that's where, definitely where people get that. They sort of get success and fulfillment confused. They think they're the same thing,
They're
but
so not the same thing, because I was driving around in a brand new red Alfa Romeo with camel leather seats. I had my reds, my red suit on, my immaculate red nails and all of that. And, driving to my 11th, um, you know, whatever it might be, house for the day, or whatever it was. And the only thing I could think about was, oh, my son's at football, my daughter's needs help. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
and I really want to go and visit my girlfriend because I know she's going through something at the moment. And, at the end of the day, purpose has always been really important to me. And I won't lie about that. I do actually need to have work and purpose and all of that. But, those relationships, you can have all of that stuff. And to be honest, I do love the stuff, but you can have all of that stuff and feel really empty inside, actually.
Absolutely. And I think for
Yeah.
me, that's why my business is successful, because I run my business how I live my life. And so, I think
Yeah.
sometimes, for example, in the salon industry at the moment, the Japanese head spas, the eco luxe kind of salons are becoming trendy. But some
Yes.
people aren't successful in it because it's actually not who they are as a human being.
No, it's like, oh, this might work.
This might work to make money. And so
This
they
might
look at it
work.
like
This
that.
is fashionable at the moment.
Exactly, but it's not
Exactly.
actually in their value system, so it doesn't align. And so
Yes.
that I think that the values alignment adds to the fulfillment, and the success happens anyway. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. So how can someone begin to identify their core values and align them with their goals? So you and I have gone through the, rising from the ashes. I certainly did that, to really discover what was important to me, and then aligning everything to those kind of core values. But for someone that has no idea as to, what their core values are, how would you kind of suggest they go about discovering that?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a few ways. It depends. I think sometimes for some people it happens sort of organically when they're going perhaps through like a traumatic time in their life. That's when the biggest transformation happens. For those that are kind of just like, I don't really know, like I know I love my family and I know I love this, but what they could do is they could probably write a list of all the things that feel icky to them. Like perhaps they don't like
Oh, clever.
envious, or perhaps they don't
Icky is a
like,
good word, don't you reckon?
yeah,
Icky.
like it just because you can feel it in your body,
It's
right?
like, "Eh, eh,
And
eh,
so
eh."
whatever you write on there, the
Yeah.
opposite of that is probably
Yes.
something that you value. And so,
Yes.
and like you mentioned, you'll always have your core values. And for some people, it could be freedom, for example, or
Yes.
whatever it is. And the other ones might change, and it depends on different times in your life. Like obviously as a mum, my priorities are different to when I was not a mum. My values are different to when I was not a mum. And so those,
And you're a busy mum. How many gorgeous children do you have?
yeah, well, we have six between us. I
Yes.
birthed three of them, but yes.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, so what feels icky? Because sometimes
Yes.
we don't know what we don't doesn't feel good because perhaps it's just been a long time since we've actually felt like that and truly genuinely.
Yeah.
But what we do know is what feels icky. And so if we kind of sort of sat on it and thought, well, what feels icky? That feels icky to me, but what's the opposite to that? Does that feel good? And sometimes you can say the words to yourself, like, and then put it in context and you can kind of feel what it feels like if you sit with yourself and feel like what does that feel like. So sometimes it's an
Yeah.
organic self-discovery, and others it's like, I don't know, like I've never stopped and thought about things for myself because I'm too busy looking after my kids and I'm looking after this person and I'm
Yeah.
doing this and I'm doing that and whatnot. It's like, well, what feels icky? Because you definitely know that, because that happens, like when you meet people, sometimes you go, oh, there's something about them, I don't know what it is, but it just feels icky. And I think like I don't know, they just made my energy feel weaker. I felt like they were in a bit of a, they were, I kind of felt like I lost my power when I was in their space. And it's like, okay, well,
Yes.
you don't like that. So what's the
Yeah.
opposite to that? So that's a really good way of kind of working it out. And the other thing is you could kind of sit down, like from a motivational perspective, if we sit down and go, okay, motivation, what is the feeling that I feel sometimes right before I feel that feeling of motivation? If you can kind of work it out, so
Mm.
you get motivated
Oh,
by
that's original.
exercise
Yeah.
or things like that, you might go,
Mm.
okay, what's the feeling that I felt just before that?
Yeah.
So that's an emotion though. Obviously that emotion's a feeling. And then what kind of it could be the value. The emotion could be the value, but if that's not the value, it's like, oh, when I feel like that makes me feel good. What kind of things, or not things, or what kind of values make me feel like that, if that makes sense. So there's lots of,
Makes so much sense. It's very intuitive. It's very instinctive.
yeah,
That icky feeling is often, that, physical divination, your body, like listening to the wisdom of your body. And if
yeah,
your body's like a pendulum. So if your body throws you back and you feel icky about something,
yeah, you'll swing back. Yeah,
that's right. It'll actually kind of throw you back, like swing back. But if you're leaning in and it's like, I love the way you explain that feeling you get just before you get really inspired and motivated. What is that feeling? I know Tony Robbins talks about that, that kind of peak
a
ecstatic
peak state.
feeling. What is that,
Yeah, yeah,
And yeah, I think really being in tune with that, that that icky feeling, but also that ecstatic, euphoric, what feels good kind of feeling. It's what you just explained there is, what I would consider physical divination, but you've explained it in a really beautiful, practical way. Yeah. So listening to that. Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. And like you said, your body keeps score, and it does.
it
You'll feel
does.
when you stand strong in your power, and you'll see your own naturally the way your body collapses or expands,
Yes.
leans back or leans in.
Yeah.
Something feels good or something doesn't feel good.
Yes. And what I used to do as an intuitive was I'd know that, I'd sense it and I'd do this silly thing where I'd go, oh, I can fix that. I can navigate that. I can bypass that. Don't worry. I kind of know that's coming, but somehow I can kind of heal that, when really, no, you can't. Like, listen to your own wisdom.
Absolutely.
And if you feel disempowered in a relationship or a space, and it's a repetitive kind of feeling, then, run for the hills, right?
Absolutely. And I think the other part of your question was, how do we align our goals with those values?
Yeah.
This is where sometimes people struggle to not hit their goals because they're not actually aligned with their values. Because at a conscious
Yes.
level, you're like, this is what I want and this is what I
Oh,
do.
yeah.
At an
Yeah.
unconscious level, your body's going, hell no, that doesn't feel good. And sometimes it's actually not the goal itself, it's the way that we've worded the goal. So, for example, if you're saying, if someone says, okay, I want to make more money. I mean, obviously that's not
Yeah.
a goal because it's not very specific, but let's say I wanted to make $100,000, but
Yes.
financial abundance isn't one of your values.
Yes.
Your unconscious is going, we don't actually care about this. However, what you could do was you could change the language of your goal is, well, why do you want to make $100,000? Let's work that out.
Yes.
Work out
What's your why?
the why for it. Let's work that out.
Yeah.
And then we'll
And
work.
is it your why, or is it somebody else's why?
Absolutely.
Because that's not going to work either.
Absolutely. And the emotion that's attached to it, because like a lot of the time when people want to make more money, it's so that I can feel free and stress less or whatever it is. So you work out what the why is attached to it and the emotion attached to it, and then you base your language of your goal around that. So I am going to feel free, whatever. Like the $100,000 is just the how. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So sometimes it's just changing the language. It's not the goal is not necessarily not what you want. It's just the language that you're using to get to that goal doesn't match what your unconscious and at a deep core and at your heart is.
Exactly.
Language. So you've got it's not necessarily about changing the goal. It's just changing the language and the why around the goal.
Yes, I love that. How do you balance your roles as a mum, business owner, and holistic coach?
I don't, you know what? I don't like, I actually don't think about this too much because I just do it. Because like I said, I live my life like that. As in, if you're living your values. Oh,
great answer. Yeah.
Because it's part of who I am. Like I holistic coach unintentionally my clients and my friends, and do you know what I mean? And like, I'm loving on everybody, and it's kind of like it's just the way I am. When it comes to if it's more of a time management thing, I'm definitely and I haven't always been like this, and I still have to pull myself up on it because I used to say yes to everything. I make sure that I prioritize. Like I have that set prioritized family time, and now I've started saying to myself, does this align with me, or am I just saying it yes to be nice? Does that make sense?
Really good point. Are you doing the people pleasing, the overcompensating because you want to be a nice person? Or maybe you are a nice person, and you don't want to do that difficult thing or have that conversation. And then you end up in a situation where it's like, how did I get here?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
What's gone wrong? Or here I am again.
That's it.
I'm back in this same situation. Different players in the same play, but
absolutely.
It's like, oh no, I'm back here again.
I think it's about it's not even really, to me, it's not about the balancing of the things that I do, it's the integration, because actually that's just
powerful word.
I don't try and balance work-life balance, or that I just integrate it because that's just who I am as a human. And I think that now that I do know what my values are and I do align with them, and it's a bit more of a flow. So I don't have to actually overthink it. I do have to be conscious of time management, of course. Prioritizing, and then asking myself sometimes, like, hang on, before you say yes, just wait and see how good that feels inside you. But for me, it's not about balance, it's about integration. Because everything for me is like that aligned values. It's not that's my work, that's my home, it's like this is my life, this is who I am, these are my people.
Powerful.
Does that make sense? So for me,
it's embodiment, it's personification. Integration is far more powerful than doing the rote learning of I better do the work-life balance thing. It's just so outside of you. It's just something that like almost like something that you read on the back of a bumper sticker or something. It's not even really real, right?
Sorry, you go.
But it's easier too if you're truly living in alignment with who you are, your authenticity, your core values, and all of that. You don't even really have to work at finding balance. I mean,
Absolutely.
you do. You've got to balance your time. You've got to
Yeah,
have
that's
good time
time and
management.
yeah.
But you don't really have to work at it.
And
It's
balance
not.
is boring. If you think about this logically,
Yes.
if we take away what balance actually means, logically balance is boring. If you and I
Yes.
sat on a seesaw and we just balance, that'd be hell boring. Like that would actually be so
Oh
boring.
my God, I love
What we need to
that.
do is we need to integrate and work together and we need to flow so we get movement. And so that's why the word integration to me is so much more true because I don't want balance. I want integration and I want my
Oh
life.
my God, that's powerful stuff. Yeah, yeah, true. Like on a seesaw, you want the up and the down, the ebb and the flow,
That's
the
it.
high and the low,
Yeah.
the that kind of feeling of, yeah, exactly. How boring would it be if we all walked around as vanilla
Absolutely. And
when
we
I might be chocolate and you might be strawberry, that makes
exactly
the world go round, right?
things
Yeah.
wholesomely. Like we'd just be mundane, you know? Mm.
What are some of your favorite self-care practices that help you stay really grounded? Because I have noticed about you that you do have that beautiful grounded energy and aligned with your values. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Mhm.
I think that because there's so many different things that people can do, and but not everybody suits everybody. Like I know if you go and talk about mindfulness and self-care, people will say, make sure you meditate and do your yoga. But you know what? Like that's truthfully not for everybody. And like
Exactly.
whilst I do like stretching out my body and I can sit in silence, I the long periods of meditation doesn't is not self-care to me. To me,
Yeah.
self-care is creativity. Like obviously
Yeah.
self-care to me is actually having my is being in sort of in that silence and having my sitting with myself sometimes. So I'm not, I guess I'm meditating in a kind of way, but not really. But more for me, it's um, I actually find for me self-care is having that wholesomeness of life as well. Not
Yeah.
just going through and doing the mundane as we spoke before,
Yeah.
but I love the creative component. So I do because I think of everything like the holistic approach. If I'm going to have a bath, I'm going to be putting the, the I'm going to have the right frequency music on. I'm going to be putting the right temperature for healing. I'm going to be putting the right essential oils in there.
Yeah.
Everything's got to. Does that make sense? And then I can.
Intentional magic.
Oh,
That's what I call
so
it. Layering the magic, like
absolutely.
living in a congruent way. It's worth mentioning too that Blair makes the most magnificent tea blends, and they're just so gorgeous. So, everything you do is done with such magical intention.
And that's what
And I'm the same way, and I like things to be really congruent. So if I'm I like to have this kind of like deliberate way of doing things because to me it just makes it more potent and it's more enjoyable too. It's like going to a restaurant and nothing makes sense. So you've got a menu that's Mexican. You're sitting in a gorgeous kind of Japanese decor and things are just like can't explain it. But if things don't kind of align for me, I just get this kind of things aren't quite right.
that's what no,
There's no
absolutely,
thought's
absolutely
gone into this. When you go to your salons,
intentional.
everything is congruent and
Yeah.
it feels good. It doesn't feel like, oh my goodness, this we need to just, go and change everything here because it's just not fitting in.
Oh, and I am very intentional, like, and that's with everything I do. Like, even when I'm cooking, I'm intentional with, okay, there's not quite enough vitamin C in that, so I'll add this, like all that kind of stuff. But you're right, like from, the music that I play to the smells that I'm smelling, to the colors
Yeah.
that I see, to the textures that I'm feeling, like all of those things are very intentional. And I think for me, that's probably that and that's a little bit of creativity as well. But I think the creativity for me is my self-care, because I know we kind of sometimes put this label, I'm so busy. I can be busy because I allow myself to be busy because I
Yeah.
get a little bit bored. But yeah, my self-care to me is that wholesomeness, that intentional, and that creativity. So it's different for everybody, but that's mine.
Yeah. And that feels so authentic and genuine to you. And you're quite right. For someone else, it might be something completely different. And meditation doesn't have to be getting into the lotus position and blocking all thought for hours on end.
No.
It can be walking in nature. It can be a swim. It can be a dancing meditation. It can be, you
Yeah.
know, yeah,
And even
totally
making
get that.
and even
Yeah,
making those tea blends, because I'm so intentional, and
yeah,
I'm actually kind of meditating in a way, because I'm not thinking about what I have to do and the stressful thing that happened yesterday, whatever. I'm,
yeah.
intentionally blending with the, does that make sense? So
You're really good at the blending.
I
You do
think,
a lot of blending. You think about it like you blend teas. You
yeah.
blend things so beautifully. I think you're a harmonizer, actually. Like
Oh,
you harmonize things, like you blend them. There's none of this kind of separateness or something.
but you know what? Because I think it's because one of my like core beliefs is that everything is so ridiculously connected that we disconnect ourselves. Like every single thing in this space is literally just energetic connection. Everything.
Exactly. There
From
is
the
no
from the
separation. Yeah.
spiritual to the nature to the humans to the everything.
Yes. Yes.
So that's probably why I actually have never really thought about that before. So thanks for bringing that up. But it's probably just purely because I believe deep at my core that everything is so connected. So when I'm doing,
Yes.
I'm obviously unconsciously taking that into account when I'm creating.
Yeah. And you know how you talked earlier about the different roles and obligations and the different hats that we wear and the different masks that we wear
Yeah,
for different areas of our life. Yes, we do. But I also think that I've noticed, because I've seen you in different environments, that you show up as Blair in all of those environments. So that must be that integration of integrating Blair into different environments, as opposed to, often when you see people in different environments, it's like they're a completely different person. I mean, I know I can be like that because I'm a shapeshifter. So I can kind of go, okay, this is Suzy, the priestess. This is Suzy, the nan, the nana. This is Suzy, but you do that so beautifully, where you kind of show up as you in all those different spaces. Yeah.
and I think that is truly just part of it. And I don't think I used to do that. So, when I was a fitness presenter, I had to be like an alter ego of this and an alter ego of that. And and like with all the different sort of things that I did, I think
Yeah.
really it's just because I have figured out well, I haven't fully figured it out because we're always learning and growing, but
Yes.
I know who I am now. And like I'm always evolving. I know what my values are. I know what feels good to me. And even if you don't, like the advice I would give is just ask yourself, does this feel icky or nice? And then you'll start to work yourself out, because does that make sense? And I think
That
that's what,
makes so much sense. You know
because
what I like about that too is it's not complicated.
no,
And I think sometimes we can really complicate things, and in the complication, everything gets lost and it's all too hard. And why would you do it anyway?
yeah,
But
exactly.
seriously ask yourself, ask a question, get an answer right. Does it feel icky or does it feel good?
Yeah.
Does it feel fulfilling? Does it kind of, I love that so much. I've loved talking to you today, my love.
Thanks,
So
Susie.
great.
I always love
So
talking.
I could talk to you all night. Listen, how do people work with you? Because, you do a few different things. So, yeah, how can they get in contact with you? What's appropriate there?
I think the easiest way probably is if they're on Instagram, because I've got links to other things. So I'm on there as It's Blair Lewis, and
Yes.
in my profile you'll see the links I've got. If anyone wants to come and have a look at our salon, there's links to our salon there. If anyone wants to, think about holistic coaching, there's links to all those sort of things there. I mean, I do have different web pages and different things for different things, but I think if we just go to that one place, because it's got all
I
of it on
think the website,
there.
www.blair/lewis.com, or it's Blair Lewis on Insta. And I love your Instagram as well.
Thank you.
I think, yeah, let's do that. Yay.
Beautiful. Yay. Thanks, Susie.
Thank you so much.
You are so welcome.
It's been a joy.
It has.
Bye for now, lovely.
Bye.
Bye.